We've been talking a lot about sarin, and in the Foreign Office statement, they mention the word sarin as well. What is it exactly? Just to give you a little primer on what type of gas it is, what type of nerve agent. It's, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, a nerve agent that was first developed in 1938 in Germany as a pesticide. It is clear, it's colorless, it's tasteless and odorless, and it's a liquid that can evaporate into a gas. People can be exposed to sarin by breathing it, touching it, or drinking it as well. Symptoms can appear within a few seconds of contact. With even quite mild exposure, these can include a runny nose, watery eyes, nausea, and sweating. Larger doses can cause convulsions, paralysis, and ultimately respiratory failure, possibly leading to death. I'm joined now by Robert Baer. He's a former CIA operative and CNN contributor. What do you make of the fact that the U.S. is now saying in this White House letter sent to lawmakers on Capitol Hill that they believe that weapons, chemical weapons, were probably used by the regime?
Oh, this is, as they say in Washington, a game changer. The administration had said they're going to have to intervene in Syria if sarin was used, simply because it's so dangerous. And right now, the fact is, and I agree with Christina, that they've probably tested this stuff in small areas, because if you fire one of these shells, a 122 millimeter shell, into an urban area, we're talking tens of thousands of deaths, horrible deaths. This is a binary agent. There is no antidote to it. If you're in the immediate vicinity, you die, and it's an awful death. The CIA has played around with this stuff to see what the effects are, and the people have actually seen it. Just say it's horrific. And if Bashar al-Assad has decided to use it in combat, the question in Washington is going to be, where does he stop? Will he stop? I mean, if he becomes under more threat, will he actually use a whole barrage of chemical weapons? And the question is, what do you do now?
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't foresee.
What do you do, Robert? Because I've seen reports that perhaps the regime has been consolidating its chemical weapons stockpiles into only a few areas, so it has more control over them. I've also heard reports and read assessments that as far as the regime is concerned, it might be as easy as that to use some of those weapons because of the population breakdown in some areas. Very difficult to target certain rebel-held areas and make sure those are the only people you target. I mean, what is the capability of the regime at this stage?
I think they can move this stuff around. It's not detectable until it's been fired. I mean, you can detect it from a drone, for instance, or chemical wipes. But, you can put this in a mortar, or you can put this in an artillery shell. You can put it in the back of a truck, in a backpack, put it on a launcher someplace, move it around. It's just a horrific problem trying to secure this stuff. I know they think they can find it. They've narrowed some sites down, but we simply don't know whether it's been moved around. Worse, in my opinion, is if the situation deteriorates, what happens if Al-Qaeda-like groups get it? And I think that's the really scary part.
And what is the capability? Do we know, can we assess with drones, with satellite surveillance technology, what the true capability is of the regime?
I think we know. We know all about their sarin and their VX. We know how much the stocks are. We know the quality of it, and it's very, very good. This is not like Iraq, where we were just guessing what Saddam kept.
And why is it not? Why is it not, Robert? Because that's been one of the questions here. We were sold a bill of goods for Iraq. What's to say this isn't the same thing? People are asking that question today.
You're absolutely right. This is the price you pay for getting into two cynical wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, where you see one administration after they're lying about these wars. And to be frank about this, and people are saying, well, why is this different with Syria? And all I can tell you is I'm limited in what I can say. I happen to believe that they're very capable at this, and I've got specific reasons for it. And I think you'll see this in the undertones, the conversations in London and Washington and Paris. They know. And I don't think they wanted, no one is pushing to send troops into Syria. Nobody is, because it is a mess. We're talking about a catastrophic mess, and it's not in the slightest degree winnable, that war. But on the other hand, if these sarin shells are starting to be fired around, what do you do? There is no easy solution.
And I don't know right, there's no easy solution, that we know. But what is the most I mean, what is the most likely response here from these countries that are all coming out? We heard from Israel, the UK today, the US today as well. What is the most likely response to this?
I'd say offhand, it's speculation. I'd hit these things from the air. I'd figure out where their facilities are, hit the artillery shells. You know, the moment these things are fired, you can hit these by remote firings of missiles. But I don't know. But nobody has a solution, which makes it even worse. No, we're not going to be sending troops into Syria to separate the Alawites from the Sunnis. It's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. And someone's going to come up with a plan to probably go after these things. But the chances of knocking out a stock of them and having them already loaded and mixed, the sarin, the binary agents, are probably pretty good. And you'll lead to wider deaths. But, you know, the Israelis by now would have gone in, I think, because they're really worried that someone's going to take one of these up to the Golan and fire it into Galilee and kill a lot of people. And their Iron Dome is going to do no good at all. It would just spread the sarin. I know this sounds very alarming, but I do believe it is that dire the situation now.
All right. Well, it is a pessimistic assessment. It is incredibly, no matter how you look at it, scary and frightening, especially for the people, of course, in the region, the Syrians themselves who've been suffering for so long. Robert Baer, thanks very much, former CIA operative and CNN contributor, for joining us on CNN International here at the International Desk.